Hello guys, today in this video I would like to talk about one of the features in QGIS2Web plugin, namely about the layer search option, which you can see here. So anytime if you would like to generate your map via QGIS2Web plugin, you can select the option, make it enable the layer search. However, as you can see here, this layer search is restricted only for one layer. As it works, it applies only to one column from our data attribute table, like you can see here. For sake of simplification, I can show you the data attribute table here, and basically our layer search plays within one column only, which is not the best, especially if we want to allocate more than one layer in our option. But today I want to show you how to expand this layer search by more than two layers, obviously without programming knowledge. Today I would like to expand my explanation and show you how to make it with layers which have different geometry. Like you can see here, I've got the point layer and I also have the line layer where the geometry is line string. Obviously you can have more than two layers here, but treat my tutorial as an example. I will show you a bit of hassle with it, but finally the process will be exactly the same as described in my post a while ago. So let's get started then. First of all, we will work at this small project, but my final example will be presented on much bigger project, including exactly the same layers as presented here. So let's think, what can we do here? We can reduce these two layers to one common denominator at some point. So if you have two layers with different geometry, we must think how to make these two layers in the same geometry. It's obviously the assumption, because finally we will still use two layers in different geometries, but for the purpose of our presentation and for the purpose of the tool, we need to have these two layers in the same geometry. So in this event, much easier for us will be to turn the line string layer into the point layer. So we can go to the vector, and from geometry tools we should select the extract vertices tool, and here we must select our layer which we want to turn into the points, and we can create temporary layer, so we can leave it as it is basically. Then we will have our new point layer based on the line layer. So let's get this algorithm working. If you shut it down, now you see that your line layer has been turned into the point layer, but you still can see this line layer underneath. However, it seems like it's not needed for our searching tool by now. So now we've got effectively two layers in the same geometry. However, this is still a bunch of points which we basically won't need. So another step that we have to do here, it's some fiddling in data attribute table, which looks pretty much like this. And let's have a look for some details presented here. Namely, we've got the stuff which already came from our line string layer, which is very good. However, we should take into account these columns which states about vertex index. So it's nothing else like array of single vertices across our line. If we turn on the line feature, like here, we can see how it looks. So imagine that this line, which I am showing you right now, it's not straight, it's a bit curved, and its shape is irregular. So now you can see that each single dot here corresponds to the single vertex. Okay, regardless the total line length, these lines contain at least two vertex, whereas one vertex corresponds to the index 0 and another vertex corresponds to index 1, like here. Okay, so we got the vertex index 0 and vertex index 1. Now I ordered them decreasingly from the highest to the lowest, as you can see here. But if we want to see clearly the situation, I already told you, it could be better to make this order for span name, which comes already from our object ID from the line string. Okay, and now if I, for instance, select these 4 rows corresponding to one the same span name, we can see that already 4 nodes from the line have been selected, right? And let's see which elements they are. So this is already the line here. So you can see that the line starts from this point and finishes at this point. Okay, so maybe let me show you another example. Let me show you, for example, this line. So if I select line like this and make the situation upside down a bit, I can show you show selected features. So it looks like I have selected something, but looking at the vertex index, I can see that this line is longer than I thought. It includes at least a dozen or so vertices. So in this event, what I could do, I can copy cell content, show all features, and make a field filter, paste my element here and press enter and select now all of them. Okay, so now I have selected a bit longer line. So if I zoom to the feature, I can see that my line goes exactly from here to somewhere there. Let me select it again because it looks like I've lost it. So let me repeat the process. Okay, same data attribute table, show selected features, copy cell content, Ctrl V. Okay, so now this is my line, which goes from here to there. Okay, anyway, this line contains exactly 16 vertices. It's not important how much vertices comprises of one line. We need to know which specifically vertices must be used for our searching tool. Considering situation when the shortest line might include just 2 vertices, so according to our data attribute table presented here, it will be from 0 to 1, right? Like you can see here, the shortest line will include from 0 to 1, like you can see here. This is an example of the shortest line. Two vertices, number 0 and number 1. But our line includes 16, so we will have accordingly from 0 to 15. So in this event, important is to select this stuff from data attribute table. So I will select not the number 0 node, but I will select vertex number 1, because in case if the line will be longer than 2 vertices, then we will head our searching tool not necessarily at the very beginning of this line. If that could make sense for you, let me select the line including only 2 vertices, and let me zoom to the feature. So this is an example of the shortest line. It starts from here, which is hidden by another node, and it finishes just here. So if we use our select tool, it will start from here. But if, for example, we use this line, the searching tool will target on the second node. Maybe it's hard to explain you right now, but you will see it in practice a bit later. So let me open attribute table, and what I will do now, I will select the vertices indexed as 1. So I will toggle the select, and I will type the formula. Vertex index equal to 1. And now I've got all the features selected. So in this event, I have selected all points I need. I selected all vertices I need from the given line. In this event, in order to make my situation a bit tidy, I will revert the selection, and I will simply remove the existing fields. Okay, and in this event, if I selected all, I just have left the points which will be used for my searching tool. So it looks like we've already have finished our first step. So let's go to our Microsoft Excel section. Okay, so our next step is to export the data into the CSV file. So we can do it like this. Select export and save feature as. Save feature as the comma separated value. So let me call it as it is in my QGIS vertices. And the important stuff is already here. We must set the geometry as ASWKT, and another stuff can remain as it is. So now we see that our data has been already exported, and we can do exactly the same process for points. Again, WKT, geometry, and press OK. So now we have exported both layers to the CSV value. If I switch off the point layers, I've got the vertices which correspond to my former line layer. So each single point here is one of the vertices used in the line layer. So it means that my search tool will target specifically displays when I type the object ID. But points, it's the points layer which you saw at the very beginning. So now you can imagine the point layer and the highlighted line layer expressed as the one point, representing the specific location from the line element. But now I have to open the stuff in QGIS, in Microsoft Excel. So this is my file saved in CSV file, and the very important thing here is the geometry, which is defined as a point. So this is our common denominator, which we set for our both layers. So I have opened the vertices. Now I need to open the points. The Excel will inform me that the file is read-only, but there's nothing to worry about. In the point layer, it implicitly looks like we've got also the points. So it's self-understood that if we use point layer, we've got the point geometry, so it's fine. So let me copy this stuff from point, for example, paste it underneath the vertices. Oh, it looks like I need to do another thing. I forgot to tell you. So in this order, at this stage, I have to also make these columns tidy. So I can delete the vertices because I don't need them anymore. I do not need distance and angle. I do not need all this stuff here because I will target my searching tool on the object ID. So effectively, I need only these two columns. I need the coordinates, geometry, and I need the span name. So these are my vertices. If I open the points layer, I need to do the same. So in this event, the structure type, structure name remains as it is, and I am deleting all another columns. Now I'm copying this data and pasting it to the vertices. And finally, I have built some separate layer which will be used for layer search in the QGIS2Web plugin. So if I save this file, save as, let me call me, for example, search layer. If I save it, I've got that separate file. And our last step is to import this file into QGIS. So I will select the layer, add delimited text layer, and the search layer CSV file is our output. Below I can see how my table looks like, so everything seems to be fine. If I add it, I've got the search layer already displayed in my QGIS. So once I switch everything off, I've got the layer which includes both line layer and the points layer. So we've got two layers in one, defined as a point geometry. But as I said, from the line layers only one vertex has been used. Okay, so at this stage I can export this map into the QGIS2Web plugin by switching on both points and lines. But this is still one step which we have to do here, this step is styling, because we don't need to have this layer visible in our QGIS2Web map. So we need to switch off the styling, okay? So the best way is to press no symbols and apply here. And in this event, we've got the view as we had at the initial stage of our work. We've got the line layer, we've got the point layer, and we've got the search layer, which is invisible because we don't need it. However, it will play its function. Okay, so now let me export it to the QGIS2Web plugin. So probably you will ask me, why are these steps so essential? The QGIS2Web plugin retrieves roughly the map and layers, how they look in the QGIS map canvas. So it's highly important to set everything as best as we can before the map is exported. So if I defined the search layer as invisible, it won't be visible in the QGIS2Web. It won't be visible in the map generated by QGIS2Web. Now the options for the map export. So we've got all the layers, we've got lines, which is fine. I can omit the labeling stuff by now. You can find another video tutorial on YouTube how to do it. Search layer, no labels, but the layer must be visible because we have to target this layer on our searching. Can be left as visible. It's even better because it doesn't mean that it won't be visible if I switch it off, but it will be simply unticked and you will have to tick it every time when you run your map. So it's better to leave it as visible, and the line layer you can make invisible. So optionally you can also update the preview and see how your map will look like. So we don't need any other options, but the most important, which we definitely need, is the layer search, and this is what this tutorial is about, really. So the layer search defines only one layer and one column for searching the layers. So if I have two layers, line layer and point layer, with a multitude of columns, I need to find the layer which has been defined as a search layer, which includes all the relevant data from these two other layers. So this is search layer, and it defines for the span name, which is my object ID. Okay, so this layer search will be targeted on this search layer. So now if I export the map like this, it will happen so quickly. If I make the screen bigger, if I go to my legend, I can still see the search layer. However, now if I start search some object, you can see everything is populated, yeah? And automatically I see where this given object is. Is it the line or is it the point? So the following case represents the point. Now I'm searching for the points. And also let me do the search for the lines. At first glance, we could think that this is still the point, but have a look. The searching tool has indicated one of the vertices defined in as the lines. Yeah. Let me do another example. Can you see? This is pretty much the end of the line. It's a bit shifted, but we can do the proper search specifically for the line which is already here. And it corresponds to the vertices which have been defined in our data attribute table, as you can see here. If I open the search layer, my data attribute table is nothing else like a combination of these two layers, namely the object IDs, because we don't need anymore. We can find our element by ID, and this is how this tool works. So I gave you an example for only two layers with different geometry. However, you can make bigger combination. You can combine 3, 4, and even 5 layers, as many as you want. But you must remember that everything must be cutted to one common denominator, which in my case was the point line, and I think that the point line is the best geometry that we can use for building this tool. So now I have proven you that QGIS2Web might be capable for do the search for more than one layer, but you must remember about the steps shown both in this tutorial as well as the article I posted nearly 1 year ago. So let me show you how it works for bigger example. Okay, so I've got another map here where the area is bigger, as well as there are more elements, more lines, more points, but still two layers, one line layer and one point layer. So this map is more wealth with various features, but our searching tool works as previously. If I type something here, then I see a lot of structures here, a lot of IDs, and now I'm searching by the points. Okay, so we can see this is already point found here, but if I do the same for line, so it's going to be probably point again. No, this is already the line, and you can see that this is the default node which has been used for finding the line. Let me repeat the search for line and select another object. Now it's here. And this is the end of the line. So again, this is an example of expanding the search tool for QGIS2Web plugin. You can definitely make it for more than one layer. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I also hope that you have learned something both from this video as well as the post published nearly 1 year ago. Thank you for your attention.